I'm so happy to be here, spend the whole evening with you. We're going to talk about pattern as evidence, how to use pattern to reconstruct the scene, how to piece it together. So we're going to spend the next 2 hours together to learn the procedure and the technique. Pattern, we can see pattern every place, every day. Even COVID-19 pandemic, it's a pattern. So to study the disease, we have to study the pattern. So many people get infected, including all the forensic scientists. Now we have to stay home to do remote learning, writing books. That's going to be my next new book about forensic reconstruction. Will be published by Oxford University Press. But tonight, you're going to learn before the book even published. I want to thank you for spending the night with us. I've been in forensic science field almost 64 years now. I started my career in 1960 as a police captain in Taiwan. 1965, I came to United States. I worked at the NYU Medical Center and also studied at John Jay and NYU, got my doctorate degree in molecular biology from NYU. Then 1975, I started working at the University of New Haven. 1979, become the chief criminologist and state police laboratory director. By 1998, I become the commissioner for state police. We implement a lot of new technology, including DNA data bank. 2002, I retired a third time, back to the laboratory as chief emeritus. Just look at the scientific evidence. By 2010, I retired again. Back to University, New Haven, we set up an institute of forensic science. We're doing training and cold case work. In my career, I spent a lot of time at the crime scene, a lot of time in the courtroom, a lot of time in the lab, a lot of time in the classroom. Forensic science is a no-ending learning curve. We have to continue learn because so many new knowledge, so many new techniques come out. And a lot of people refer my career as a typical example, make impossible become possible. Actually, every of you can do that. Just put a lot of time, study, and try to set the goal, make it possible. Of course, I also co-author about 40 books, about 300 articles, received a couple of thousand medals, commendation award, meet a lot of world leaders, got 30 honorary doctorate degree. I even have my own TV show. I learned so much by doing that. But one thing I want to make it clear, the real crime is different than the TV show. The real crime needs a teamwork. A lot of good people work together. In my career, I worked with 47 country investigator. We investigate about 8,000 crimes, from 9/11 to JFK, to impeachment of Clinton, Monica issue, Vincent Foster, Kobe Bryant, O.J. Simpson. Not too long ago, USA Today named 25 headlines that shaped the world history. They sent me a copy. When we look at it, 14 of 25, we forensic scientists directly, indirectly involved. Why I entered the field, I never dreamed a forensic scientist can shape the world history. In fact, it did. For example, today, this country, we're under so much stress because recent a lot of police shooting created lot of problem between the community and law enforcement. What's the problem? The issue, it's not black against white or police against the community. The most important thing, law enforcement work, we have to get the public trust. They have to believe us. So any investigation has to be objective, transparent, impartial, and timely. If you follow that principle, then all the issue will be gone. So tonight we're going to talk about how to emphasize objectivity, how to use scientific evidence, start from the beginning, recognition of the information. Where can we find information? Obviously, at the crime scene, you can find information. You interview the witnesses, you can find information. Examine the physical evidence, forensic evidence, we can find information. We can do data mining, find information. We can appeal to the public. Public can provide us information. Then police, detective investigation, gather intelligence. So that's the most important 6 elements produce information. Once the information assembly, we have to go through a logic process. What makes sense, what not make sense. Then systematically study the motive, means, opportunity. If you follow this new concept of forensic investigation, you have a good chance to solve all the cases. So it's pretty important to remember this. Also, we have to know the central dogma. Collect the information is from step 1, recognition. If the crime scene was not protected, evidence not recognized, those information will never enter the letter process. Once it's recognized, we have to document, preserve, collect. Laboratory scientists will have to identify, compare them, individualize it, send a report to court. The judges, lawyers, and experts have to try to pieces together. That's called reconstruction. Reconstruction becomes the highest objective of a forensic examination. Before we do reconstruction, we'll have to have a general idea. What is forensic evidence? Highest involved in the crime scene. What type of pattern evidence can be found? Where to be found? How to be found? How to collect? How should it be handled? How is it examined? What's the evidential value in investigation? The pattern evidence reconstruction process. So the next 2 hours, I'm going to take you through that. The first thing we want to know, what is forensic science? The official definition is to use scientific principle to answer the legal issues, civil or criminal. In reality, forensic science encompasses a lot of special different fields. When we learn forensic science, that's early days, so-called generalist. We learn everything a little bit. We can do drug tests. I can do serology. I can examine fingerprint. I'm a certified crime scene investigator, latent print expert. I can also do autopsy. But today, it's different now. Each field is specialized, from pathology to odontology, to radiology, psychology. On this column, criminalistic encompass DNA, e-crime, drug, arson, all those different fields. The forensic evidence basically is to use to support the criminal investigation. What is crime scene reconstruction? You probably read a lot of books talk about crime scene, profiling, restage of the scene. Of course, on television, a lot of program shows the crime scene reconstruction. Looks like very easy, but in reality, it's not that simple. It is a scientific analysis of crime using forensic evidence, logic, and pattern to test hypotheses about what occurred to create such crime scene. So in other words, we use a word of a hypothesis. We don't say a theory. Theory is something have to be tested, proved, and correct. Today, we have so many new techniques we can use. We have to change our concept about forensic evidence. Early days, we talk about forensic evidence, generally refer as transfer evidence, hair, fiber, DNA, blood, glass. But today, there are 7 major types of forensic evidence, something called transit evidence. Transit evidence is something, it changes so quick. Next minute, may be gone. Therefore, the investigator has to be really keen and document, preserve, for example, this fire. When I get there, you can see 5 areas of origin. Dark red, that's 970 degrees Fahrenheit. Cherry red, that's 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. Yellowish cherry red is hotter now, about 14, 16, 21. So multiple origin, different temperature. That's a suspicious fire. If you don't document right away, once the fire origins start linked, you have a big global fire, which you lost all the potential evidence. For example, you get to the scene, blood dry, or wet, or become flag, or coagulation. That's all important evidence. Even a hair with a little blood attached to it, or the toilet bowl, see what's up or down. Livability, the color of livability, give us clue. For example, this pinkish livability, that's a sign of carbon monoxide poisoning. So each of those patterns can give us information. Even somebody's home, how much beer can, 1 bottles, can also give us clue. All those evidence, including the computer, e-evidence. Pattern evidence is one type of evidence which I just introduced to you. Pattern evidence can be fingerprint, handprint, glove, socks, footprint, ear, bite mark. Handwriting is a pattern evidence. Wound and injury, for example, gunshot wound, stab wound, the cluster of stab wound, or the wrist cutting, each one a different meaning. And fracture pattern, body condition of pattern. Even a body buried or not buried, in the water or on the surface. MO pattern, MO, which represent modus operandi, how this crime was method of operation. Then, of course, you have voice print, cutting print, machine, bullet. Here is a kind of an interesting pattern, instrumental data pattern. GC mass spec, DNA, all those are pattern. So every day, what we do is recognition of pattern. Pattern produced by different objects, when they have surface contact, leave a pattern. So whatever we do, we should follow the NIST-OSEC guideline. How that involved in crime scene? Impression made in soft material, such as soil, sand, snow, or wet painted area, or even carpet, and indentation, damage made by force into the surface. A bite mark, hammer, or chisel, those pattern produced by force. Imprint made by dirt, dust, soil deposit on flat hard surface. Impression made by object with dust, wet surface, wax, greasy surface. The last type of thing is because transfer blood made a replicate of a pattern evidence. So as you can see, pattern can produce by variety of way at the crime scene. Pattern, some of the evidence is made by human, such as fingerprint, footprint, lip print, ear print. Some made by animal, some by vehicle. Other clothing, for example, hit and run, you have a piece of a pattern, clothing pattern on a hit and run vehicle, or for example, suspect stamp on the victim, left a shoe pattern. Objects like tool marks, bullet casing, weapon, those are the example. Instrument, typewriter, cash register, computer, lab instrument, MO, human behavior, habitual, ritual, all those are patterns. So we have to recognize pattern, identify the pattern, document those patterns. Sometimes those patterns are not visible. We have to use chemical or lighting or physical way to enhance it. Then collect those patterns, compare those patterns, study the mechanism of transfer, and finally reconstruct. As you can see, this is a very complicated process. Usually take probably 2 years to learn every detail. But since you guys are so advanced, the platinum members, Kevin tell me you guys' knowledge is way above everybody, so we're only going to have 2 hours. But later I'm going to test you. If you pass the test, you have a gift. And hopefully future, when pandemic over, you can come to the Institute to visit me or have tea with me. So where to find it? How to find it? Of course, to the scene. Don't forget it. Your computer, your cell phone, also a scene. If that body is a scene, a location is a scene. So, as I explained to you a while ago, have microscopic scene, macroscopic scene, universal scene. Here is in Delaware, and they have 8 young lady was murdered, and sexual assault and murder, some are decapped. Attorney General and Delaware State Police asked me to support. So the next body was found. They sent a helicopter, picked me up middle of the night. We went there to search. What to look for? Look for things unusual. Look at point of entry, point of exit. Things not supposed at the scene, or things supposed at the scene but not at the scene. For example, here, a beer bottle. In the wood, you don't have beer bottle grow on the tree. So somebody have to transfer the beer bottle here. Whether or not relate to this crime, we don't know. But the beer bottle look like very fresh. So that's a good indication. You should collect that, examine that. And of course, crime scene, the point entry, point exit, as I say, the door, the lock, the target area, the body. We usually look at the hand. If sexual assault, the breast area, and sex part, and child abuse, usually cheeks and the back. So certain area you can focus your energy to look. So point of entry, and of course, the detective try to focus on this pattern. But he showed us a different pattern. So at the scene, you can see a lot of pattern. Here, all those blood drops form a pattern. The blood smear form a pattern. Those fabric and this shape appear to be similar to a shoe. So now we have to use something called linkage theory. I look your program. This morning you have a couple of speakers talk about Locard, theory of transfer. Locard, Professor Locard in 18th century developed this theory. When two things have contact, you have transfer. So victim and suspect, you have contact, you have transfer. With linkage theory, we expand Locard theory. Besides victim and suspect, you have direct transfer. But equally possible, you have indirect transfer. Victim left something at the scene, but subsequently transfer to suspect, or on the evidence, or vice versa. So that's called four-way linkage. The new modern concept solving crime. You have to expand your mind. Look at it. This transfer is primary or secondary. Can be a major differences. The next we want to touch a little bit is how to protect, because once you step at the scene, you contaminate the scene. So we use step plate, glove, and of course we use our face masks long time ago. Now with the pandemic, everybody used the face mask. We've been used 30, 40 years now. And of course, we have to use a systemic and logic examination. We darken the scene, use side lighting, try to make scene pattern more visible. Many times we have to use a step ladder with a top view. For example, here we see three bodies. They're shooting victim. Then we see casing from M16. So we link those casing to the wound, bullet wound. So we reconstruct a pattern, shows this victim is the target. Suspect go around his body, bang, 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 keep shooting. So it's become important to focus on the motive means opportunity with this victim. Side lighting can help us to visualize the pattern. We also use fuming, cyanoacrylate fuming technique. We also use a lot of chemicals. And once the pattern develops, we want to take an overall view, intermediate view, close-up view, 90-degree angle. Also, we want to make sure the film plan is level with imprint, because later you'll have to compare that. And we have to try to play with lighting, side lighting, bounce lighting, transmitting, reflection. So photograph, document, collect the evidence. Sometimes the evidence, for example, on a chair, on a tabletop, you can remove that piece of evidence, submit to the laboratory. Leave the laboratory scientists to do the enhancement documentation. Many times they even cut a portion of the material sent to the lab. Of course, before you remove anything, you have to measure, you have to take a sketch and document which area you found a cigarette butt and where is the shoe print, to thoroughly document. Later you can reconstruct. The general principle of pattern comparison, after you recognize, identify, you can have a physical match, a direct matching. You can say including similar, consistent ways. You can say inconclusive, insufficient material to compare. You can say definite exclusion, dissimilar. Make sure whatever you report meet the guideline of NIST and OSAC. This is pretty important now. They try to develop a national standard. At the scene, we collect the evidence, take back to the lab. So we try to determine that's a two-dimensional or three-dimensional. Two-dimensional, it's on the surface. Three-dimensional, it's an indentation. Some are visible, some are not visible. So if we use chemical, we're visualizing, so you have to say what type of chemical you use. Some of that contains individual characteristics. Other only have a clause, that's a hammer. You cannot say this hammer contains individual mark, because the receiving surface did not yield those marks. Exclusion is very easy. This case happened in Boston, and a homicide case. Detective come to my laboratory, want me to compare this pair of shoe print, suspect shoe print. This shoe, as you can see, have cut and nick wear pattern. It's a good piece of a shoe to compare the pattern. Except the pattern they submit to me is on piece of paper. That's the pattern. Anybody have any question? Is this a identification or an exclusion? You can vote on it. I hope we're going to have 100% say that's an exclusion, because I still remember the detective said, Dr. Lee, you just look at it, you say excluded. You did not use sophisticated instrument to examine. Do we need an instrument to examine? That's a Charvin. And even tell us that's Puma sneaker. This is a different brand name of sneaker and different pattern.
And Dr. Lee, I'll say hello here and introduce myself. I'm Liz Weaver O'Keefe. I'll be moderating. I'm sitting here just like you, fascinated by everything that you are telling us and enjoying it. And I will tell you, you'll be very proud of your VIPs. All are saying exclusion. So they're on it. And for everybody at home who's here with us right now, definitely ask questions. I'm sitting right here. I will ask Dr. Lee as your questions come in. We can stop, we can talk, we can go into different topics. So we are here for you. So Dr. Lee, so far this is, so interesting. And I, as a former reporter, used to cover crime in courts.
Right.
So sitting here,
yeah, and
listening to you, I think of all the times with jury selection and voir dire. And do you find now, you talked about how TV makes it look easy.
Sure.
Do you find when you go to trials that finding jurors who don't think that it's so easy, that understand that science is so precise and that a lot of times it can be a little boring during a trial? Do you find
most
that's a challenge?
scientists testified too boring. And with monotone, this pattern is absolutely definite, it's a match, and I can testify that's a match without telling people why.
Right.
Just say, trust me, trust me. You have to let the jury see. For example, this here, that's the suspect sneaker. That's the pattern left at the scene. Is this a match?
All right, well, let's see what everybody's saying here so far. I mean, I guess to the eye, yeah, it would look like a match. What do you think? I mean, what did you say? What is it? You tell me.
Similar.
Similar, okay.
We cannot say match because the problem, they did not including a scale, the ruler here. We don't know the size of those chevron. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
with these shoes, you have to enlarge how many times. Try to match that. So that become just say, we only can say have similar chevron pattern. We cannot reach a conclusion match.
Which comes to the question, of course, is can you say that without a doubt, which is
Right.
always the
Beyond reasonable doubt.
beyond reasonable doubt,
Now,
right?
this is another very interesting case. It's actually somebody steal a lot of ore from the warehouse used for the instruction. That's one piece recovered from suspect's home. This is a piece provided by the warehouse. Now, looks like the material, they're pretty similar. Is this a match?
That looks like a match,
It looks like a match,
right?
but in court, the lawyer can criticize us. How many boards actually made? How big that tree made that many pieces of board?
Right.
What's the statistical value of you say that's a match? So today, we face another different type of challenge. So imprint for reconstruction, it's not really getting into the match or not match. It's trying to help the investigator to understand what's going on, what did happen. Imprint evidence, we can reconstruct location of the evidence. We can reconstruct through the condition of evidence, amount of evidence at the scene. For example, at the scene you found a large pool of blood. You estimate it's about 4,000 cc. Then your conclusion, this person died. 4,000 cc, that's a lot of blood.
Right.
If at the scene your blood stand only 20 cc, that's probably the victim still alive. So distribution of the evidence, sequence of event, contamination of the evidence, alteration of the evidence, identification of the pattern, interpretation of the pattern. Now, here is a famous case. It's on snow. In snow, you have a pattern here. Anybody can tell me what pattern? I'll give you a clue. It's a work boot. What's the brand name of this work boot? Think a little bit. Also think about the shoes, the label. When you touch some soft surface, you actually reverse it.
Right. We're getting some of our VIPs here saying that's high tech.
Excellent.
We have a
Whoever
smart group
answers
with us
that,
tonight.
come to the institute, have tea. Now I give you an autograph picture. For a while on eBay, that's $49.
Right.
So I'm going to give Kevin Liz a bunch of those and sign it. Hopefully, you guys will get it. That's high tech. Now, what you can tell me, what is this? What the sequence? Actually, have couple shoe print here. So we have to look at all those information. Some of the pattern for identification, some of the pattern for reconstruction. And so from the bullet to fingerprint to blood stain, even with counting numbers or handwriting, that's a pattern too. That's a dismembering, cutting somebody's skull. Signature with DNA, facial determination, eye color, tool marks, melting object. How about this? This is a SAT test paper. What kind of pattern evidence here we have?
You asked me earlier, and I thought this was so interesting, and the story behind it is good too.
Intriguing.
Let's see if any of our folks watching here know what this is, and I love it. So
That's
why don't
the
you?
bubble test.
Right.
So the procedure is use a pencil. Sort of you think this 16 the correct answer, you just put some pencil mark. Here, K is erased. Can you see that? So we'll have a erasure mark. Here have a new pencil mark. This pencil, because pencil have number 1, number 2, number 3, different type of light content. So you can see even marking some different. Some of the marking is made a circle. Some is a stroke. So this is an altered test paper. Somebody changed the answer. Later turned out fun is the principal, helping student to get higher score, change the paper. DNA pattern, GC mass, all those are pattern. The DNA scientists basically look at that, recognize the pattern, suspect, victim, whether or not the match. For example, RFLP, you can tell these 3 samples are same source, this one is different. So basically, again, it's pattern recognition. Now, is this a match? That piece of a cloth detected recovered from hit-run car. That's the victim's clothing. Have a rip. Early days, our report definite it's a match. But today's standard, we cannot call a match because we cannot physically match them anymore.
Dr. Lee, something came up too in our chat room here. Can you tell, so in the early days you could look at it and just by visually you could say if it was a match or not, and that would probably be accepted in court. Nowadays, I mean, are there tests you can run if you look under a microscope? Are there ways to test the fabric scientifically that would determine if it was a match?
No, we cannot say scientifically match. We can say composition match.
Okay.
Identical material. For example, this wave pattern, the thread, usually couple of fibers together is a Z twist or S twist, and how many fibers in one thread, all those, are they cotton, are they silk, or polyester? So a variety of way to examine, but we cannot reach a conclusion positive match. This is a challenge at the scene. We have how many tire truck there? How many vehicle at the scene? Which one is the last tire, last vehicle left the scene? That probably take hours. So you guys just look at it and think about it. Let me know. I know the answer.
And are these, Dr. Lee, I know you and I spoke beforehand, a lot of these are from, cases that you did. Are most of these all from
actual cases? They're all actual cases. For example, here, is he a driver? That's on Route 15. Lunchtime, 6-car accident, 2 deaths, 4 injury. The commanding officer called headquarters that time, the commissioner for state police, Dr. Lee, please come to the scene. We need your help. So my chief staff say, wait a second, Major, you know department regulation. Unless 20 cars piled up, unless 7 people die, commissioner doesn't have time to go on every accident investigation. But just happened I don't eat lunch, so I said, let's take a look. When I got to the scene, I said, wow, this is interesting. Everybody said, Doc, what's so interesting about it? The victim lying there, 2 shots in the head, pool of blood. What did happen? How did it happen? Meanwhile, the traffic back up because the highway is sealed, waiting for our examination and clear the road. So ordinarily, they usually tow the vehicle, put the body in the body bag, send to ME's office, all those pattern evidence gone. Here, the first thing, did you notice his pants were pulled down? How many of you drive with your pants down? We do a survey. I hope 0.
I hope 0 in this room.
Yeah. So how his pants down? Is he the driver, passenger, or sit in the back seat?
I was going to say, we have some guesses here. We have some people here, too, that are asking maybe he was on a motorcycle or a pedestrian.
It's a highway.
Okay.
So no pedestrian.
We've got fell out or jumped. They threw him out of the car.
Uh-huh. Good guessing. But look carefully. You can see the bullet hole on the windshield. He was shot, as I said from the beginning, from the back of the head. So if the entrance went back of the head, more likely he sit in the front seat and the bullet exits through the windshield. So who fired the shot? Somebody sit in the back seat. So how many people in the car? At least 3. Why pants down? Because a lot of gang members took hostage. If he owes some drug money or anything, they usually take their pants down so he cannot run. This is a Massachusetts license plate towards New York direction. It passed Connecticut. That's happened. So where's the suspect? More likely run into the wood. So the scene reconstruction is so important, so crucial, timely. You make a decision, the right decision, of course you solve the case right away. So what's the evidence value? The value can solve the case. For example, here, we have some bloody shoe print. Why it's blue? We use a chemical called tetramethylbenzidine enhanced. So as you can see, at least 2 different people at the scene. His wife died of a multiple stab wound, and one of the stab wounds penetrated the heart. He said he did not know when he got home, he found his wife died in the living room. Of course, if you look at the blood pattern on his shirt and pants, you refute his statement. He did not tell us what had happened. more likely he's involved in this homicide. This case we help in Taiwan investigate a hit and run case. When we examined the vehicle, we found an imprint here. Of course, difficult to read. With the highlighting, and we was able find the reading. This is the hit and run case vehicle. So you cannot say that's a match, but you can say this pattern could come from this license plate.
And also, Dr. Lee, during these trials when you're presenting, or these cases when you're presenting evidence, we talk about putting the pieces together. All of these different things are pieces of the puzzle that you present
exactly
in the investigation.
That's wonderful. That's exactly what we do. For example, this is probably one of the my best imprint case, also one of the most sad imprint case. Now, a lot of country law enforcement use this case as an example how dangerous highway is. One day, a police officer on Interstate I-84 patrol. This truck come along, hit the officer was killed. The truck took off. Subsequently, trooper got to the scene. They don't know what vehicle hit the officer. So what they did on I-84 between New York, Connecticut borderline, they set up a roadblock, stop all the vehicle. Hit and run case usually involving blood, hair, tissue, fabric. But this truck was stopped, no blood, hair, tissue was found except under 160, have a pattern. Detective look at it, no reason to keep him here, so just wave, let him go. I was called on the radio because that time they assigned a radio number to me too long. I don't remember. So the commissioner said, from now on we call you 007. When we call on the radio, 007 means you, Dr. Lee. So they keep calling 007. So I got there, I saw this truck, I said, stop, stop. What's this pattern is? With chemical fuming, with sunlighting, I developed a pattern. That's the trooper's shoulder patch. One picture. You don't need witnesses. If that day, I'm 10 seconds late, get to the scene, this truck would never found it. So it's so important to recognize the pattern, enhance the pattern, collect the pattern, document the pattern. Then you can memorize that to compare.
And so, Dr. Lee, in that case too, I mean, that's like a needle in a haystack. And you saw that. So do you attribute seeing that to just your training, to know that you have to look for something out of the ordinary?
Yes. Each of us have this ability. And some quicker, some slower. So with some training, learning, a certain amount of logic involved. Tonight we don't have time to talk about logic. As a matter of fact, other day when we start talking about the subject, initially I want to talk about crime scene logic, the logic formation. What's a Sherlock Holmes deductive logic, inductive logic, abductive logic, how we can use systematic analysis, develop a viable hypothesis. Here, the first thing, the trooper got hit. We know the shoulder injured, so that have to hit the surface. The trooper's high, give me clue. Not a small vehicle, must be a pickup van or truck. So now, with this speed, the injury usually left an indentation. Now, what chemical to use? Because truck heavily waxed. Wax contains fatty acid. So we usually use iodine fuming, so you can form a contrast. That's how we did it. So that pattern become a memorable thing for younger police officers to remember. Highway is dangerous.
To look right and to
For forensic scientists, don't just assume not there.
Right.
You have to try every possible way to develop it. All right, now we're going to reconstruction now. You probably read the book or read a lot of news articles. You guys probably know more than me. We found a lot of terms: reenactment, restaging, criminal profiling, scene profiling, scene analysis, scene reconstruction. They use interchangeably. Think that's one thing. Actually, that's all different. Reenactment. Early days, we used to do that. When we caught the suspect, we bring the suspect back to the crime scene. We tell the suspect, show us how you did it. But today, no, don't bring the suspect back to the scene. Otherwise, all those evidence is contaminated. Restaging is we don't have a suspect. We just base on our own speculation to stage that. Criminal profile is based on statistical, psychological aspect to profile personality. Scene profile is one step ahead. We use crime scene pattern to profile. For example, as I say, this hit and run trooper case. Trooper pretty tall fellow. So the location of the pattern give us a clue. And scene analysis, now we involve in chemical, instrumental, other result combined to look at the scene. Scene reconstruction is tied everything together, pieces together. Scene reenactment, for example, when I was invited to Bosnia to give a lecture, their chief of staff, detective, is investigate a hospital murder. A nurse was killed in the parking lot of the hospital. No clue. So he asked me and Dr. Baden, as a matter of fact, Dr. Baden, also your speaker this morning, I tried to explain to the chief of detective. I say, the pattern looked like a surgical scissor. The suspect looks like an approach from the behind with the insertion of scissor. So precise. I think the person knows the surgery. So that's what I demonstrate to him. He said, no. Let me show you what happened. He almost killed me. What he did, he grabbed my hair, inserted the scissor directly into like this. I said, wait a second, we're just restaging it. Don't kill me. We don't know exactly. Right. So look at it. And of course, later he feel sorry, he's so excited to learn this restaging.
And Dr. Lee, I want to let you know, we've got about an hour. We've been talking for about an hour. Mm-hmm. We've got so many questions, too. And I did want to ask you this one question. We had a question from Robin. She was curious about all these different crime scenes you've worked, thousands and thousands of them. Do you find, how different is it working like a crime scene in Taiwan versus the U.S. or different countries versus the U.S.?
Okay. Good question. As a matter of fact, I don't know you remember, I tell you this morning, 3 o'clock,
Oh, yes.
to
yeah.
5.
Yes.
I was lecture to India.
Which, by the way, everybody, he's been up since 3 o'clock this morning.
So each country is different. Each country has their law is different. Judicial system is different. We cannot really say which country's law better than other country. But science is the same. Scientific principle is the same. Crime scene procedure, besides the law, we should all follow the same scientific principle. Call as it is. Inculpatory evidence, we should look for. Exculpatory evidence, we should look for. Let the evidence speak for itself. Let the chip fall.
Do you find that when you travel to other countries that
Yes.
the scientific community?
It's pretty heartwarming. They all eager to learn. They all want to be a good crime scene investigator, good forensic scientist. Nobody say, I'm going to fake the evidence. Nobody say, I'm going to change the result. But in every field, we do have a couple bad apples, just like medicine, law. So I would say 99.99% forensic scientists, we all have a very high ethics standard. We all know what's the limitation. Here, like this is another case, a shooting case. You talk about pressure. A young lady have 2 kids, 7 and 5. Sunday morning, walk the kids to church. Somebody in this house, boom, fired a shot, single shot, killed the mother in front of the 2 kids. Police did the initial investigation. After months, the pressure mounted. The chief, under a lot of pressure, asked the state to assist. That time, I'm just the chief criminalist. I'm not the commissioner. So the commissioner is my boss, asking me to go reconstruct. I said, how can I reconstruct? No evidence left anymore. Somehow, the mayor, the chief asked the governor. Governor called me personally, Dr. Lee, please, to reconstruct. I said, how to reconstruct? Just do you usually do, reconstruction. The story is, the person, yes, a lady living in the house say, yes, I fired a shot. But I did not aim to her, fire the shot. My husband went to target practicing, put the gun on the coffee table. He went to shower. I pick up the gun, try to put in the cabin. Somehow step on the cat. The cat jump up, the gun, boom, fire. Now, how we reconstruct? My boss said, anything, any instrument, anything you want to purchase. So I send a purchase requisition, 1,000 cat. You look at Dr. Lee, 1,000 cat, why? I said, I have to use a lot of cats, step on that, boom, see whether or not I can discharge. It cannot reconstruct.
Right.
Not everything we can do. The only thing I can do is to see this trajectory. If the original detective interview the suspect, say, lady, where you stand? Where's the cat? Where's the coffee table? Then we can include her or exclude her. If they take the cat to the vets to do an x-ray, whether or not have some injury. So all those did not. That's why, go back to a couple of minutes ago, somebody asked an excellent question. If the crime scene evidence wasn't collected, not much we can do.
So in that case, what ultimately happened? It just was ruled an accident, or too hard.
That's the lawyer have to call, not the scientist.
Can I ask you a question, though? We did get a question about the picture you showed earlier about the nurse when you were reconstructing it. Did you ever find out who?
Oh, yes.
Was it a fellow nurse or
and,
doctor?
He owed some drug money in Boston, or somebody in New York, so they sent two guy to collect the money, kidnap him, took the pants off. So in the car, they had an argument, heated argument. The guy sitting in the back seat just can't haul anymore, took the gun out, boom, boom, fired 2 shots. The driver said, "What the fuck you do? You don't fire the shot in your own car." The car went out of control. The other 6 cars behind them, one hit another, and this car continued, tried to escape, then found out some problem. So they decide, 2 of them run into the wood.
They take
The
off.
guy got his, sit in a car seat, passenger seat. Went through the brain, did not die. So a lot of misunderstandings think you found somebody shot you in the head, you're going to die.
Right.
Not necessarily. I often ask the medical examiner, young medical examiner, I say, "Have you ever killed a chicken before?" They say, "No." I said, "When I was young, we're poor, we have to learn to kill the chicken for food. You chop the chicken's head off. Is chicken going to drop right away? It's going to flap around." So here the same principle, he just hopped out of the car, then finally collapsed.
And then,
So right away we solved the case.
okay. And can I ask, somebody else asked about the one picture you showed of the reconstruction, or the reenactment of the nurse with the scissors, where they really took it serious for your reenactment. What, did you ever solve that one? Was that another doctor or nurse?
Yeah, doctor.
I was a doctor at the hospital. You know, your cases remind me just of a TV show. You really need to write for a TV show.
Well, if they really like those, we can show a couple more cases. Serial killer, profiling. You all hear profiling, and all the movies and TV shows all have profiling. Profiling, serial killer, pretty easy. One subject, 3 or more event. Of course, to now, FBI even lower, that's a 2 or more event. And 3 or more victim, 3 or more location, calling period, premeditation, planning, fantasy. For example, this guy, this body, 79 stab wounds. That's called forensic killing, overkill. When we get to the scene right away, you know that's not the ordinary kill, not the execution. Initially, they think this Russian KGB did that. I said, no. They probably, boom, 1 shot. Why bother 79 stab wounds? Then you look at this shoulder, have a bite mark, teeth mark. That's a homosexual killing. So you can look at the wound, you can look at the scene, make a so-called MO. MO is part of a criminal profiling. It's a guessing. And for example, early days, they have something called male fire, female fire. I said, why? How can you tell? Female fire usually nice and lean in the closet. Male fire is wild. I say, any small fire, when you expand, going to be big. So now nobody profile arsonist, male and female anymore. Develop a new lead, for example, the body underground or buried. Buried in the field or buried in the wood. Body in the water, it's all different meaning. So we can look at the scene, try to develop the lead. What did happen? How did it happen? Is this a primary scene, secondary scene? Is this a staged crime scene? Or is this an active scene or passive scene? Then we can use what type of weapon used, what's the killing location, the body count, body location. We can do genetic profiling, psychological profiling. We can analyze the time pattern and try to piece together. So today, when we try to profile, not just do the psychological aspect, then we'll also look at a variety of elements such as gender, age, occupation, marriage status, residence, personality, social network, whether or not use drug. So interested if you can put those pieces together. Some are pretty simple. Scene profile. Is this the point of entry? Of course, seasoned investigator will look at a dust particle, spider web. If somebody try to climb in, usually have a disturbance. Usually we can find fingerprint, find fiber pattern. So how high is the window can tell us what the size of the individual. Police found this vehicle, nobody there, just some blood. So here $1, here's some blood pattern. So obviously here have very little blood, so you know somebody more likely sit here, have a major injury to that side, subsequently that's a smear, move to that side. Somebody over there, more likely is the suspect. So that's called scene analysis. This is a New Jersey Turnpike police shooting. So we have to close New Jersey Turnpike, did the reconstruction. New Jersey Governor Whitman and the Special Prosecutor, State Police Commissioner asked me to assist them. We was able to reconstruct how that happened. So reconstruction is use scientific method. Use transit evidence, conditional evidence, medical evidence, electronic evidence at the scene, unresolved laboratory testing, use logic reasoning, witness statement, records, database, interrelationship to the whole case, try to get all the knowledge event pieces together. So crime scene can be indoor, outdoor, can be primary, secondary, can be organized, unorganized, staged, normal, dynamic, passive, universal, microscopic. We'll give you 6 pictures, crime scene pictures. I want you to classify according to this. Indoor, outdoor is pretty easy. That's a given credit to you. The rest of it, try to figure it out. Once you figure out this, then you know what type of crime, what type of evidence to look for, what kind of pattern, then the potential suspect. Give you a lot of investigative clue. For example, this is obvious the indoor crime scene. It's an active scene. Why? You see a lot of blood stain, you see clothing, weapons, everything. That's a dynamic crime scene. You see the drawer open, but no blood in there. So the sequence, victim was killed first, then the drawer was open. Why open the drawer? Looking for something. So is this a sex-related homicide or robbery-related homicide? In this case, a car, shot, multiple shot. So from the angle, we know this vehicle has to be past. The shooter fired behind this vehicle, not staying in front of the vehicle, the car charging at him, he's fired. So if this is a police shooting case, it's not a justifiable shooting. Even a piece object can be a lot of information. Usually, when we examine the evidence, it's one man work, the rest are watching. At the crime scene, sometimes feel the same way. I'm the person working, everybody is looking. This is another scene. Half of the body, perfect. The other half of the body, mummified. How does that happen? So we have to look at the body, location analysis, indoor, outdoor, already say whether or not body disposed, transport, bury, surface, and all those try to make sense.
And Dr. Lee, the outdoor location, does that present more challenges for you to do your job?
Yes or no, if the weather condition perfect, outdoor actually give us more clue, and we can tell a vehicle involved or not, what type of vehicle, what type of person. For example, if you found a body probably, say, 400 feet into the wood, you don't look at me as a suspect. With my age, 400 feet, too far. You see what I mean?
Right.
So must be a younger person. Good question. Many times we don't have the primary scene. We don't have the scene. So the reconstruction, what we do, have to look at the picture. That case, they picked me up again early morning, 3 o'clock, drove me to Albany. All the detective, medical examiner, commissioner, and district attorney, they took the picture, showed me. I'm just tired. I'm looking, actually I tried to catch up with a nap. Everybody think I found something important. So actually I did find something so important. So we want to find what the scene alteration, modification, staging. Scene staging, that's pretty important because suspect commit the crime, they usually try to stage the scene, change the scene. So the more they try to change, to stage, the more evidence they left behind. Just now we talk about theory. Theory is final product. An incident, we have to collect the evidence first. Meanwhile, we collect the evidence, we develop a hypothesis. We use the information evidence to verify this hypothesis. Then we develop an alternative of a hypothesis. Then we verify that, we test that, then we continue doing this process until your hypothesis tested and verified, and then you call that the theory. Then you, based on your theory, try to find motive, means, opportunity to solve the case. There are many areas of a specialized reconstruction, such as blood pattern. This case happened in Florida. A man was found in a garage in his house, had blood drops. What is this? Liz? Can you tell?
No, I would say that's the blood pattern of shoe prints.
Close.
No?
Yes.
All right, okay.
Barefoot.
Barefoot, okay.
Okay? Barefoot. So somebody have a barefoot, have blood on it. Can you see that?
Yep.
Is the person walking or running?
I'm going to guess running. Am I wrong?
Don't guess.
Well, it looks like the
Don't
top.
ever guess.
It looks like the top of the. It looks like a partial print.
Partial print, couple reasons. Some maybe have some blood, in the front, but no blood in the back. So it looks like partial.
Okay.
Okay? So you have to measure the distance. Then we have ways to tell. Walking, running, the pattern. Try to analyze that. So you say running is wrong, it's walking.
Okay, I'm not gonna go into your.
But make a long story short, all those patterns, the blood drops, many those drop again, no center.
Okay.
It's a hollow blood drops.
Well, we've got, and some people here are saying, let's see, on their tippy toe, like on their tiptoe. Somebody else said maybe dragging a victim or walking. Those were some of the, not putting the whole foot down. These are some of what.
Wow, they really thinking. Good job, good job. But this case, I can talk for a whole day. It's an interesting case. Initially, they charged his girlfriend for homicide.
Okay.
And they never married. They lived together for 14 years. She said, yes, we had a big argument. I left. Went to my mother's home. But over the weekend, I really missed him. I decided to go back, check on him. I did not get the phone call from him. Found his body in the garage.
Okay.
The important thing is the victim have no open wound, but have 170 some bruises. So if you don't have open wound, where those blood come from? You have those bruises, they jump to a conclusion that's spouse abuse. Except you look at the bruises, some are yellow, some are green, some are blue, some are dark, some brown. That shows different periods. Also, look at the location of those bruises, basically bump into the table, chair. In addition, we found his liver complete gone, liver cirrhosis, excess drinking. So that's why I say big database, quickly check out the local hospital. In 6 months, ambulance call 11 times.
Okay.
Every time he's drunk, he bump and fall, vomiting blood.
Oh.
The suspect, the lady actually tell the truth. I tell him stop drinking, otherwise you're going to die. He doesn't listen and start yelling at her. So she just can't stand anymore. So the case, because the blood pattern with those hollow point, like a staircase murder, this noontime we talk about, that's another example. When you cough, the air bubble come out with blood, hit the surface, the blood draw, air bubble bust. So create a special pattern. Those pattern. So the prosecution decide to drop the case, and of course, newspaper never got correct. Said Dr. Henry Lee, the forensic pathologist. I'm not a pathologist. I'm a criminalist. And criminologist is not study forensic. So did the O.J. Jumping Ramsey case called this is a natural death. The chief medical examiner, excellent gentleman, Joe Davis, agree with that. And so she was released right away. And the only condition, I have to go there, teach 2 weeks courses, crime scene, teach those detectives how to read the scene correctly. So important. We look at a glass fracture, you can tell the angle, sequence of the shot. You look at this, you know this fracture is not created by a bullet, it's by blunt object. So even the wound, we can classify sharp instrument, blunt instrument, gunshot, rope, ligature, stabbing, cutting, chopping, slashing, scraping. Each one have a different meaning. The location, the position, condition. Recently, I just gave a lecture to Saudi University about this, and they say probably the best lecture they ever heard. Use a wound pattern to analyze. For example, this is a pattern. Is self-inflicted or somebody did to her. Many spouse abuse case, you have this kind of thing. Victim still alive. It's one person's word against somebody else. Then scientists, we have to determine, is she did herself or somebody did that to her. For example, ABCD. Now, the platinum members, quickly write it down. A is what kind of pattern. B is what pattern. Well, we have two B, sorry. A, B, C, D. Pattern. Write it down, okay? Later I will discuss that with you. Actually, I discuss with you right now because later.
I know, it's just so, and you wanted me to let you know time-wise too, we're at about an hour and a half, so it's about 9:30. We've covered a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How much time we have now?
We have about a half an hour.
Half hour.
Yeah.
Okay. We go. That's tire mark. That's pretty easy.
Right.
How about this? Liz?
Bite mark?
Bite mark. Even the dentist says that's bite mark. But nobody teaches that regular. That's a plier.
Oh.
Plier. That's the saw, dismembering. This actually is defensive. Try to block the knife. Gunshot wound. Also, we want to know the entry wound, exit wound, close range. For example, here a barrel imprint that's against the head. We also can reconstruct through the dental record or facial reconstruction. And so a lot of special area use pattern to reconstruct. For mass disaster, for unknown victim identification, that's very important area. So of course, another newer thing is image reconstruction, which is videotape, CCTV, or those pictures, whether or not it's original or composited or modified. DNA reconstruction, so-called forensic genealogy. A lot of new equipment introduced, a lot of new advanced technique introduced. So now we can have doing plant DNA, animal DNA with a massive database and rapid DNA. A lot of software developed to help the recognition of the pattern. And the pattern recognition now become automated. Then can search the database. That's so-called forensic genetic genealogy and familial DNA search. That is part of a reconstruction too, now become so popular. Every police department, every TV show now showing that. As a matter of fact, in our university, we're going to have a 1-week course about a forensic genealogy. Bullet, gun, used for police shooting reconstruction. In my career, I assist investigation about 300 of those police shooting cases. Usually, We look at weapon, ammunitions, gunshot residues, bullet trajectory, look at blood spatter, look at whether or not ricochet, deflection, look at the trace evidence. This is a case happening at local community college. Her husband is a professor, passed away. It's winter. She went to the school to clean up his office because university want the office back to assign to other faculties. Somehow, something happened. Campus police that day have two on duty. One patrol, one sit in the guardhouse. The one on patrol say, heard a gunshot. He called on the radio. He quickly got to the social science building. In the ladies' room, found her body. That's her body. I still remember. It's so cold. The major crime squad called me, Dr. Lee, we need your help. We went there. As we discussed before, why so important? Have to be at the scene right away. Second, they have to preserve the scene. Don't do anything until we arrive. Because once they move the body, everything changed. When we get there, you can see she has sweater, winter coat, and scarf. That tells me two things. Either she just got there, or she's ready to leave. So interview the witnesses, you have to ask them crucial question. What time? Then we can use scientific pattern evidence to either support the alibi or defute the alibi. Her face up, we found one casing underneath of a scarf. Just one casing. We found she was shot 5 times. 5 times should have 5 casings because that's a semi-automatic weapon. Where are the other 4? The logic deduction, the suspect pick up the casing because they know we can trace the casing to the weapon. Only found 4. That stuck under the scarf, he did not find it. We smell gunpowder because this is a confined area, 5 shot. Also, seminal fluid odor. We know probably sexual assault involved. Gunpowder, as you can see here and here. Seminal fluid on the floor. Of course, collect that to do DNA. We can search the data bank. We can eliminate a suspect. So right away, at the scene, have a lot of good physical evidence, blood stain, bullet trajectory, clothing, body position, weapon, sink. Why sink is important? Because it's evening, the sink should be dry now. If it's wet, means somebody washed their hand. garbage can, whether or not I have a paper towel. We can see the blood. Syringe already separate. She's still holding her glasses in her hand. So that usually take about 2 hours to take the syringe and blood cells separate. So we know at least this case is 2 hours, not as says, boom, hear the gunshot right away. That's her closing. At the scene, as you can see, very little blood, but subsequently submit to the laboratory. You can see just so much blood on there. That's because contamination. Put the body in the body bag. The blood come out of the wound and transfer onto the her jacket. This is a single shot. Entry, exit, re-entry, re-exit, re-entry. Single gunshot. So shows me that's her under what you call this female stuff. Clothing underneath.
Like long underwear.
It's like a you wear that, you wear the stuff outside. It's like a
slip or something.
Slip.
Yes.
Something.
Yeah.
So tell me the slip was folding together. So one bullet penetrate, exits. So it's kind of interesting. You can see the gunshot. You can see the wound. You can see the tattooing, gunpowder. So you know that's a close range shot. Then we do the trajectory, reconstruction, the sink, the bullet ricochet, as I said before. So bullet, you can find trace wood and whatever, trace evidence on there. It's so important, try to get all those information. Finally, we reconstruct. We think this campus police officer have something to do with this case. So we ask him, can we swab the hand? He voluntarily give it to us. I know he washed his hands already. So he said, can we have your uniform? He voluntarily gave it to us. Except on the uniform, under UV light, we can see some semen stain. So where the casing? More likely in his shoes. He wear a long boots. So I said, can we have your boots? He said no. So we have to ask a call order. Wake up a judge, get a call order. And this is his boots. Guess what's in the boots?
I'm going to go with, I'll see if anybody else says it. I'm going to go with blood. Was there blood in the boots?
Okay, actually casing.
Oh, casings were in the boots. There we go. Sorry. I looked down first before I looked up.
Casing.
Wow.
So the case solved.
The case was solved. That was a pretty, yeah.
Under the boots, we found her fingerprint. She tries to push away, struggle, fighting. In his car, all those junk material, underneath, we found a gun. So middle of the night, the firearm examiner and myself, we test the gun and we link to the suspect, the weapon and casing. Of course, the scarf will have semen, and on the ground, on his clothing, and DNA linked to the suspect. So he plead out this case. The hair, he pleaded out for the crime. So this is another example, a teamwork. Each piece of evidence by itself maybe not much, but when you put the puzzle together, this is a case clearly shows what did happen, how did it happen, where did it happen, when did it happen, what the sequence event. So the newspaper called me king of the crime scene again. Future, someday we're going to have robot police, and now they already have all kind of facial recognition program, vehicle recognition program in the city. Your vehicle all monitored. Of course, those big database. Every time you use your cell phone, your computer, it's all documented. And whatever you're purchasing, everything, that's another big database. So social network is a database. Forensic evidence, of course, we still look at the DNA fingerprint, we look at the biometric database. Someday, maybe all those information can embed in a detective's eye. So when they interview somebody, the background information of the person interviewed, it's all already in file. Forensic scientists, we examine evidence, all the database are already in file. We just look at it, automatically come out. That's really wonderful. But I leave those to younger forensic scientists to work on. And the most sort of fascinating but dangerous prediction is so-called BrainNet. In other words, Lisa, you're sitting there, I'm sitting here about 10 feet away. I can think what you think, you can think what I think. Our audience can be in Kansas, Los Angeles, New York, Connecticut. We can think what they think. They can think what we think. And that's the future world.
That could cause a lot of troubles in a marriage.
Yeah, exactly. But as long as you love your husband, there's no problem. Of course, forensic scientists were not robots. Robots make a mistake too.
Right.
So forensic scientists, we have to continue education, learn, and finally, I want to thank you. Spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with me tonight. It's Saturday. It's my birthday. I'm really happy. And so I want to share with those younger viewers. A lot of people say, I'm a winner in my life. No, I'm not. And it's pretty simple. What the definition of winner? A winner is something which you can achieve what you want to achieve, not to compete with others. The winner, you have to have knowledge in your mind. You have to have courage in your body. Doesn't matter what the news media say, what the public say. You know you did the right. Have honesty in your heart. Whatever we do, honesty is the best policy. Have friends in your life. That's very important. Tonight, because pandemic, I cannot see all of you, but you're all my friend. So remember, if you want to write to me or future come to visit the Institute, just say November 21st, that night, you spend my birthday with me together and listen to the lecture. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And Dr. Lee, before we go, thank you for wrapping up that part of it so well. We have those pictures that we sent out to all our VIP members.
I forgot. Thank you
no, that's
for
okay.
reminding
No,
me.
hey, and it's your birthday, and you are here, and we feel so lucky that you decided that you would spend your birthday with us. And I know everybody, all of our VIP members, have been are so excited to kind of go through some of these pictures that we sent out.
Yeah.
And we told them to look at the pictures, through the eyes of somebody who's collecting evidence and see what they come up with. So I know you had you have this, and then you have like the slide with the questions. So, however you want.
This is the first crime scene. All right. Obviously, everybody can tell. Indoor, outdoor. If somebody say indoor, you're in trouble. It's an outdoor scene, right? Victim was a young lady, high school student. That time she worked in the diners as a waitress. Diner closed, she left. Somebody offered her a ride. Her mother tried to pick up her, did not find her. She mysteriously disappeared. A week later, her body was found. So this is an outdoor crime scene. We know that. What else can we see? Anybody come up with any clue?
Let's see what we got here. We've got April Watson says it's a secondary scene.
Okay, correct.
Everybody correctly guessed outside.
Outside.
So we've
secondary crime scene.
We have some people who believe that it was a sexual assault. Mm-hmm. Let's see what else. Secondary scene. They see perhaps a large rock that maybe could have been used as something.
Okay, the rock actually has nothing to do with the case. If you drop this rock on somebody's body, going to become a pancake.
We've got
rock,
bruises on
nobody can lift that heavy rock.
We've got bruises on her legs.
Yeah.
And staged. We've got Lori Motors.
Excellent.
Staged. Excellent job, Lori.
It's an organized staged scene.
Well, you know what? And just to follow up real quick, Aaron said that there's lividity in the back of the legs, so she had been moved.
Yeah, it's difficult to see. I intentionally sort of unsharper, but you can see the sneaker is here. The panty was removed, no panty. So that tells us this individual is a collector. More likely a serial rapist. And this case was later solved. Solved by good detective work. In Massachusetts, another female walked from the diner. Somebody offered her a ride, took her to the wood, beat her up, sexual assault her, choked her. Left there. Luckily, she regained conscious. She walked to a house, knocked on the door, called the police. She recognized the partial license plate. Also, remember, in the back seat, have a baby chair. Police found the individual. Then they checked the record. He was in Maine that period of time. Apparently, this person is a serial rapist. So, good observation. Excellent. Excellent work. So the physical evidence is semen, DNA, car fibers, trace material, tire track, can use to put together. All right, next case. Okay. Here, the first autograph picture. Later, I give it to whoever. Let me try to find a marker.
Oh, geez, I have a pen. Oh, wait, you know what? I see a marker. Hold on. I see one. I see one. 6 feet away. There
6 feet away.
6 feet away.
Okay.
Okay, we're getting some guesses right now. Do you want me to ask a specific question so they'll
Sure.
have a minute to answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is dried.
Oh,
Thank
it's
you.
dry.
Go
I
on.
will get you. I will get you. I will
Later.
write down
I can
who the
sign
person
later.
is.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So what should our question be? Is it,
Okay. That's an indoor scene, right? Everybody knows that.
yep.
That's an indoor scene. As you can see, victim's body. You can see a container of accelerant. Eyeglasses, knife. Victim received multiple stab wound. So the fire has covered the crime. So the question, why the body did not complete consume with
right,
that
so-
much gasoline?
That's our question for our VIP members here.
Yeah.
Is why did the body not burn completely? All right, let's see if we have any guesses. Indoor primary arson victim was bound, fuel was insufficient.
Fuel is sufficient. That's a lot of
Okay,
fuel.
that was, okay.
Carpet is fuel. All those are fuel. Plastic.
It's hard to burn a body, someone wrote. Let's see. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to see. We've got fire retardant materials, the pajamas and the toys. This is a good question, Dr. Lee. Could that
Okay.
be it? Could it be the pajamas?
Okay.
Or not hot enough?
It's hot enough. The fire marshal, fire department respond to the scene, found the clothes and window all closed.
So everything was closed. Okay. I won't
All right.
answer.
For example, this room
Yep.
is closed. You have a limited oxygen.
I was just going to say, Leah Frederick said
Once
oxygen.
it's under 16% oxygen content, the fire automatically extinct.
And Leah Frederick is going to get the postcard.
Okay.
All right, so we've got a guess from, she said not enough oxygen.
All right. Next one.
Okay.
Oops.
Do you want to do this last one? So Dr. Lee, this will be our last one.
Last one, we do an exciting one.
Okay.
This one is happening in North Carolina. This is a crime scene, really messed up. So not much you can tell.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to pick one of the remaining ones?
Okay.
Oh, this, okay.
That's more exciting.
You could do two if you wanted to, if there's two.
No,
that'd be
wait.
great.
Yeah, whatever
We can
you
do two.
want.
Whatever you, we can do two.
We can do two. All right, let's do this one, and we can pick one more. How about crime scene number 4?
All right. That's an indoor scene. Who can tell me what the sequence event, what did happen?
All right, let's see here. So we want to ask everybody at home if they can tell us the sequence of events and what happened. Oh my goodness, answers are flying in. Okay. Some people are saying this is indoor secondary, this is cleanup. There's a coat hanger on the counter. Okay, let's see. They tried to clean it up. Well, we've got people saying it's the primary scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so whoever said primary, correct. It's not the secondary scene.
Okay, so
The
our
body is here.
that was Julie Meacham. Okay, Meacham. All right, Julie, well done.
All right, everybody, okay. Since that we short of time, okay. We finish this, we show another one.
Well, can you tell us what happened here too, though?
Sure.
Okay. We've got
I
time.
can tell.
Why not? Let's do it.
The toilet seat up, can you see that?
Yep.
More likely man use. All right? A lot of blood, a lot of stuff in the toilet bowl, and all the blood spatter limit to this, and the garbage Okay, a lot of it paper towel, but not much blood there. So it's limited area with a lot of blood source. Victim actually tried to commit suicide, cut the risk, and try to kill himself. All right? So many drug people on drug, they feel it's hopeless. So they try to kill themselves. Okay.
Let's see what we got for this one. All right. We've got
This
people
case,
guessing. Go ahead.
fire department was called to respond to a brush fire. After the fire was put off, they found a partial charred, mutilated female body. You are called in by detective to conduct a crime scene analysis and to provide lead for reconstruction. What type of crime scene is this? What type of crime is this? What kind of pattern evidence can you find at the scene? What technique you can use to identify this victim? What evidence missing from the scene? What hypothesis can you offer? Who is your primary suspect? All right.
All right. Well, I would say we've got a lot of, everybody guessed that it's outside, obviously, and that they see the tire.
Okay,
And-
that's a secondary crime scene.
Secondary.
The original scene we don't know, maybe inside.
That's right. And we've got a lot of people saying secondary.
Yeah, that's a deposit the body.
Somebody said drudge from the lake.
Dragged by the lake.
Lake.
We don't know. Okay, the first thing, tire did not grow in the wood. Where's the tire come from? You look at a 6 tire, 3 underneath, 3 on top. The top 3 tire consumed. Only the wire, the ring left. The bottom one is protected. So people say, why is that happen? Pretty simple. The heat goes up. They pour a lot of gasoline, but the fire goes up. So only the body charred and the tire burned. Underneath tire did not. So what kind of vehicle we look for? At least can hold 6 tires and the body. Okay? Now, if you have a sharp eye, you look at it, here, that's her 2 hands, that's the head. What missing from the scene? Both hands. No hand,
Right.
just the wrist. The face, like a tattoo, the teeth are knocked out. So that tells us they don't want us to identify the victim. So whoever killed her, very close to her. If you identify her, you solve this case.
And we had a lot of people call out the hands that were missing.
Yeah, hand missing, that's very important. Okay?
Okay.
So I already give you all the clue. The case should be solved. Who is the suspect?
Let's see. We are getting a lot of people saying to avoid recognition, someone they knew. Let's see. Dismemberment. I'm looking to see if anybody has a guess. I don't see any guess. Let's see. Possible cover-ups. Husband or father killed by someone in law enforcement. A spouse. Husband or boyfriend.
Close. Husband.
Husband.
Law enforcement.
Oh, both.
More
So
than
it's
close.
Oh my goodness.
Well, because now somebody have to know. We're looking for teeth. We'll look for fingerprint.
Okay.
All right. Good.
Is that the last one?
I think that's it for tonight. I think for that.
Yes.
So
I'm tired.
Oh, Dr. Lee, thank you so much for being
Actually, I
here.
have a small,
Kevin's got.
small issue.
Small issue.
Small issue. that came up.
Issue.
Small issue.
All right.
The issue is, Dr. Lee, that it's your birthday,
Right.
and that we're in a pandemic, and
Yeah.
so I cannot fill the studio with all of the wonderful fans, or a ballroom with all of the wonderful fans who want to sing to you.
Right.
So what we tried to do instead was something a little creative, and I don't know if it's going to work.
Okay.
If you look behind you, we have many of our fans right
Oh,
here on Zoom, and so we can say hi.
Hi.
And so we're going to try this.
Oh,
We're going to try this. I don't know if we can sing. Oh,
I
no.
love you guys.
Bad echoes. Hold on.
Wow.
Let's give this.
We're
a go.
working on it.
Not many.
Look at everybody. Thank you so much,
are
everybody.
Hi. Hi. Hi.
Should we go for it?
Yes, let's go for it. Ready?
Happy birthday
to me. Anybody know my birthday? Happy birthday to Doug. Happy birthday, dear Henry. Happy birthday to me.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you, everybody.
Angel, come
Thank
over.
you, Dr.
That was
Lee,
so
and to
nice.
his beautiful wife for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And thank you to everybody
Thank
who
you.
took
I
part
love you
tonight.
guys.
You can talk to him right here.
Thank you. I love you guys.
Thank you.
Oh, they're still singing.
When this bar is over, come over to visit me.
Actually,
All beautiful ladies.
Yes, Kevin. We
No, you
can.
don't
still
even
live?
have a guy here.
We're still live, I believe.
okay. Well, if we're still live, I think I can talk here now, Mike.